Greetings, villains, vigilantes, heroes, and heroines.
You're tuned in to Project Supervillain. We're your hosts. I'm ArcDrifter.
I'm KILLBOSS.
And we're back with a video that we really should have gotten done a long time ago. Of course, we're talking about the top 10 games of 2020. This is a video we have been working off and on throughout the year on, this is mainly because we had so many other things to do. We just got bogged down, and so this content got put on the back burner. We've been writing the script slowly over the months, and it finally got done, I want to say a couple months ago, and then we got distracted by something else, and now we're here.
We literally finished it off a few minutes ago.
We're going to get better at it. Honestly, next year, the format of this video is going to be changing a little bit, so we'll discuss that when the time comes, but we're wasting your time. Let's get into the video, shall we? Number 10. Journey to the Savage Planet. We haven't witnessed work conditions this poor since Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. As a recently employed worker for Kindred Aerospace, you'll realize just how shit these conditions are in merely a few minutes. It's not all bad though, as you'll have the opportunity to experience fantastical wildlife, gorgeous scenery, and some of the most decadent food you've ever tasted.
You will be tasked with uncovering the secrets of ARY-26, and if you're wondering why, well, you shouldn't be, because that isn't your place. You don't need me to tell you that, though, as the boss will tell you most of what you need to know. That's all you're getting from him, though. You'll have next to no supplies, and you'll also have no fuel to trek through the colorful planet either, so good luck!
In this zany first-person exploration game, there's a heavy focus on traversal through the wacky and vibrant world, and this game even features 2-player online co-op, so you can bring a friend with you. So you have a firearm in this game, and not only can you upgrade it, but you'll have access to new abilities and equipment to help you uncover new areas and find hidden items. Some of these abilities make moving around the map a lot of fun and add an extra spice to the game that is very much appreciated.
The pistol helps when you get attacked by some of the outrageous-looking wildlife here. You will also be able to take advantage of the new resources you come across in form of both upgrades and usable items. These items include ways to trap your prey or unlock hidden paths. With the comedy taking the forefront in this wacky adventure, you'll find yourself laughing more often than you'd expect, as the game has many nuances and secrets to uncover that do an excellent job in describing the universe you're in, but it also succeeds in being incredibly entertaining. Kenny? Kenny, what are you doing here?
Overall, Journey to the Savage Planet proved to be an incredible experience for fans of the exploration genre. Though the co-op experience wasn't 100% necessary, the inclusion of it brought smiles to the faces of many, including myself, and the story itself would prove to be quite interesting as well.
Look out for this one if you're a fan of discovery, traversal, and kicking stupid yet cute-looking creatures off of cliffs. What?
Yeah, it's fun. Don't worry. Number 9. Resident Evil 3. In the wake of the critical acclaim and accolades of the RE2 remake, the RE3 remake had a lot to live up to. We're pleased to tell you that this short but sweet dive back into Raccoon City is well worth your time. Just as with the original titles from many years ago, Resident Evil 3 may not top its predecessor, but it certainly does not disappoint.
Enter Jill Valentine, an elite member of the Raccoon City Police Department's Special Tactics and Rescue Service, or STARS. Some months after her team's involvement in the Spencer Mansion incident, another viral outbreak occurs, this time within Raccoon City itself. Jill and the rest of STARS have become the targets of the sinister Umbrella Corporation. Using the chaos to their advantage, Umbrella deploys Nemesis, a prototype bioorganic weapon, to hunt down and eliminate every last member of STARS. With help from an unlikely partner, UBSC operative Carlos Oliveira, Jill must fight her way through the ruined streets of Raccoon City and face unimaginable horrors in a desperate bid to escape from the doomed city and the clutches of her pursuer, the Nemesis.
Resident Evil 3 retains almost every element of its predecessor's gameplay, albeit with some changes to the pace of the game. It soon becomes evident that Capcom wanted to create a much more action-focused experience, as enemies are numerous and aggressive. With ammunition and healing items being much more common than in Resident Evil 2, there is some divisiveness among fans with this change in pace, but it feels perfect when paired with the frantic plot of the game.
Well, it's more focused on combat than one would expect from Resident Evil. Clever and challenging puzzles and open-ended level exploration also return. Of course, there are a few new enemy types and redesigns, such as the Plaga-like NE Alpha Parasite Zombie, or the Beta and Gamma Hunters. To combat such hideous threats, you will come across an impressive arsenal of weapons, some conventional and some more exotic, which can be modified to make them more effective zombie-killing machines. This game also contains some light crafting elements for making various types of ammo.
And of course, there's always the ever-present threat of being ambushed by Nemesis as he stalks you throughout your adventure. Whenever the going gets easy and you're feeling several steps ahead of the game, Nemesis is sure to come crashing through the goddamn wall to remind you that nowhere is truly safe. Highly intelligent and heavily armed, Nemesis is one threat you definitely don't want to underestimate.
Overall, the Resident Evil 3 remake contains all of the best elements of Resident Evil 2 and remixes them with an orientation towards faster-paced gameplay and action sequences. The foreboding and hazardous streets of Raccoon City are as Resident Evil as they've ever been, and it perfectly captures the nostalgic anxiety of being ruthlessly pursued by the terrifying Nemesis.
Solid experience that doesn't overstay its welcome and does exactly what a Resident Evil game should. Now that's a good sandwich.
Number 8. Spider-Man Miles Morales. New York is constantly in danger, and considering how many heroes exist in Marvel, it's surprising that Miles has to deal with this stuff himself, but that's a commonly thought about plot hole in the Marvel universe that I guess we can just ignore. Again, when you think about a Spider-Man game, the first one that comes to mind nowadays is the recent Spider-Man PS4 release that blew fans away with magnificent traversal, breathtaking combat, and a well-done Marvel story.
All of these characteristics are present in Miles Morales, and the game succeeds at being a fun sequel, albeit a bit short. We saw the return of the free-flow combat system featured in the original, only this time the game would be a little more focused on Miles' electric abilities, and less so on tons of gadgets and knickknacks that Peter Parker uses to such high efficiency. His electric abilities would continue into the web swinging, making an already insanely addicting aspect of the game that much more amazing. The stealth in the original was a big highlight of the game, as well notably being a lot of fun, but something a lot of players noticed was it was very, very easy.
The stealth in this game, though, is quite difficult due to a couple of key factors. The first being Miles' ability to turn invisible, which adds a whole new layer to the stealth. Enemies would also have more abilities to sense Miles lest it be too easy. These new enemies will learn how Miles' power works and come up with countermeasures, keeping the gameplay fresh for this new title. The game would also remove the boring parts where you play as a civilian like Mary Jane or Miles in the first game. Thank fuck!
There's so much fun to be had with every aspect of this game. The only downfall would be its brevity. The game was too damn short, only clocking in at around 6 hours, which made the game feel kind of more like a slightly overglorified DLC, and kind of prevented Miles Morales from reaching the heights its predecessor did on this list.
That being said, the amount of fun this game contains, despite its length, exceeds expectations for Miles.
Number 7. Cyberpunk 2077. Despite all the neon, the future is quite bleak. The corpos hold sway over the masses, lulling the people into a false sense of trust with their grandiose promises and warm blanket daydreams, but then shattering our souls with cold winter reality. But enough about CD Projekt Red and their modus operandi. We're here to discuss their latest, but definitely not greatest production, Cyberpunk 2077.
Inspired by the tabletop game Cyberpunk 2020, Cyberpunk 2077 is an unlikely successor that seeks to capture a gritty, technological, and morally complex vision of a dystopian future under the guise of a corporate utopia, where denizens of the first world are slaves to corporate overlords. The lines between human and machine are blurred, and you're no one special unless you're rich, beautiful, or a big dreamer with even bigger guns. V is one such individual with dreams of making it big time and becoming a legend in Night City, like others before them. However, after a heist gone wrong, V finds the big time is more than they bargained for. Now, with the help of the rocker boy Johnny Silverhand, V is determined to discover the mystery behind the cyberware now implanted within them, and in turn, how to save themselves from it.
For the most part, the gameplay is exactly what you'd expect from a modern AAA FPS. In fact, the entirety of the game is experienced in first person and never deviates from V's perspective, save for when you're driving. Great for immersion, but it can detract from the impact that more cinematic angles could provide. You'll be spending most of your time driving, talking, and shooting your way through Night City. The combat is, of course, the main star of the show, featuring a perfect assortment of futuristic weapons. From guns to melee weapons and right down to your own fists, Cyberpunk 2077 gives you plenty of options to get the job done.
But violence is only one way to do so. Civility can get you just as far, and thankfully, Cyberpunk 2077 also features a robust conversation and interaction system as well, which can open up new opportunities for how missions play out and how stories carry on. A lot of thought was put into the dialogue and the personalities of certain characters and their reactions to your choices and actions. Small, seemingly insignificant decisions can have a major impact on your story later on, and affect how certain characters feel about V, and how they will go about interacting with you in the future. Though not every interaction in the game feels as rich, many of the interactions you will have with the main characters are all expertly crafted, and feel just as stunningly detailed as they are organic.
And we can't forget to mention some of the incredibly in-depth character customization the game displays, both in the creator and in building your character over the length of the game. Multiple skill categories, each with several branches of upgrades, means there are near limitless possibilities when it comes to building and specializing your version of V. Appearance is also a big part of the Cyberpunk 2077 experience, and as such, you'll be able to deck yourself out from head to toe in any of the hundreds of different fashions available in the late 21st century. While there is unfortunately no way to customize the appearance or color palettes of weapons and clothing, and vehicles lack any kind of customization at all, what's offered is more than substantial. But it would be awesome to see CD Projekt Red build upon the systems in place and offer us more in the way of tailoring our character's look.
Though this title is deeply flawed at a fundamental level, and it has been overshadowed by both its hype and CD Projekt Red's fucking disingenuous marketing, it's hard to deny the fun we've had with it. But still, this game certainly does not live up to its hype of being no less than The Witcher 3, which is a far superior title in every sense.
But there is a brilliance and charm to Night City, to the world of Cyberpunk, the mystique and awe of its neon dystopia, and the characters within. It's not perfect, but it certainly was nowhere near bad, just incredibly underwhelming. Number 6. The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope. If you haven't heard of the Dark Pictures Anthology, prepare to be enlightened, as this is easily one of the best ways to experience the horror genre on the market today. We saw the success of Man of Medan and even the spiritual precursor to the anthology, Until Dawn. The interactive horror movie turned game experience continues, and with a fresh coat of paint in regards to the scenario you'll find yourself in. This time, you'll play as a group of college students trying to get home after a bus accident that happens on the outskirts of a little run-down town called Little Hope.
The name of the town is symbolic to your stay, as there are plenty of reasons for you to need to cling on to hope for, mainly your survival. Once again in the series, the game features many branching paths, all of which end in you either murdering your entire squad or not. Every character you play as in the game has many opportunities to be killed off, and it's up to your swift thinking through quick-time events or decision-making that'll determine whether or not they survive. There are plenty of chances to avoid these terrible fates, as the game once again features artwork lying around that when looked at will give you a glimpse into one of the potential timelines you can find yourself in.
Each character in the game can be played by a different friend you have in the vicinity, as it features both local and online co-op. The local co-op is a big addition in our opinion that really gives this game an edge on its competition in the horror market. The game allows you to swap off the controller when it's your turn to play, and even features quick switching, which is the new element of the game that will keep you on your toes. Essentially, when things get a little more crazy, you'll be swapping the controller around a little more often than the previous two games.
Currently, the Anthology is a yearly must-buy, as this upcoming Halloween season we will see another addition to the series, and it doesn't look to stop after that one. Which means we will have only more and more awesome scares to come.
With Little Hope being such an amazing, spooky experience that truly captures what it feels like to direct your own horror film, we wait with bated breath for what the future will hold for the Anthology series. Whatever it does look like, we picture it'll be dark.
Number 5. Ghostrunner. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and die! Again and again and again. But in Ghostrunner, death isn't the end. It's merely a lesson, and each lesson hones your skills and shapes you into a lightning-quick killing machine. Out to right a grave injustice and save the citizens of Dharma City from its overlord, Mara, Ghostrunner's fluid and frantic action, cyberpunk setting, and a tale of treachery is gripping to the very last second.
Ghostrunner plays in the first-person perspective, slashing, slinging, and sliding your way to the top of the mega tower structure known as Dharma City. A perfect mixture of action and platforming, Ghostrunner showcases expertly crafted platforming puzzles and pulse-pounding, fast-paced combat. Punctuated by its Titanfall-inspired movement system and parkour elements, damn near every encounter will make you feel like the badass cyber ninja you're supposed to be. Though seemingly quite chaotic, Ghostrunner's meticulously detailed gameplay almost presents itself as a combat puzzle, favoring a strategic, methodical approach to its trials. Additionally, there are some secrets hidden throughout the levels, which rewards their exploration with certain items and sword skins, which add a level of light customization to the experience.
Aside from lethal platforming gauntlets of epic proportions, you'll also have to contend with the many different enemy forces under the employ of Mara. Each one represents its own challenge to overcome, using different strategies and weapons to take you down. Certain combos of enemies can at times be a nightmare, but before long you'll know exactly how to tackle each and every enemy and challenge in your path with your own strategy. Though there are few boss battles, each one is unique and will test how well you have learned everything up to that point.
But strategy is only half the battle. You won't be facing any of the Ghostrunner's challenges empty-handed. Though your cyborg body is frail and you can be downed in a single hit, your weapons and tools are anything but. Your sword will see the most use, slashing through enemies and deflecting projectiles in the midst of combat. You will also be equipped with a grappling device for traversal, as well as several different special powers and pickups. These range from shurikens and time slow pickups to the ability to teleport slash through multiple enemies at once or blast them away with a wave of energy. Number 4. Persona 5 Royal. The metaverse is calling once again. Your job as a Phantom Thief is yet to be complete. The cast returns for more amazing moments in this ever-popular JRPG, reimagined with a bunch of new shit. Persona 5 is easily one of the best JRPGs that exists, and once we get into some of the coolest aspects of this game, you'll quickly see why. This game is a turn-based RPG set in Japan. You play as Joker, the quiet, studious type. However, when he does talk, it's very impactful and, you guessed it, funny. Joker's hilarious. Anyway, to sum up the plot, you're in an unfamiliar high school away from home and were recently placed on probation due to a crime you did not commit.
Despite society not thinking too highly of you, Joker has a strong sense of justice and is intent on clearing his name. When he finds a strange app on his phone that seemingly takes him to another world, he would be granted the abilities of the trickster and is immediately tasked with saving the world. The main focus of the game is to immerse yourself in the role of Joker and his life as a phantom thief, and even more terrifyingly, a high schooler. God. So you've got to do high school things like go to class and study and manage personal relationships with key characters. These key characters are known as confidants in the Persona series. Each confidant you meet can lead to unlocking more skills in battle and in many other ways, so make sure you hang out with those you care about. It's especially important because there is limited time in this game and you may not be able to max out each relationship unless you manage your time perfectly, which is actually a really difficult thing to do on the first go.
The combat in this game is turn-based and you can have up to 4 party members in battle at once. Joker and his friends all come equipped with a gun and melee weapon, each which obviously allow for the respective forms of combat. There are all sorts of items typical to an RPG as well that you can use to help yourself and your allies. Each character has a magical entity with them called personas, which are capable of letting these characters use all sorts of magic. There are basic physical and ranged attacks, but there are also persona physical and ranged attacks, which will take away your HP when used. The rest of the abilities a persona has will consume SP, aka stamina points. There are elemental attacks that can take out an opponent's key weakness. You'll also have buffs which will make your party stronger in various ways, as well as debuffs to weaken your enemies. On top of that, there's even magic meant for disorienting opponents like Forget, Brainwash, Rage, and more.
It's actually rather tough to define this game as a remake, as it is so much more than that. The remake aspect would be ever present, as there are plenty of small things that they've improved upon. We won't tell you all of them because we will be here for a while. We will tell you about some of the more prominent upgrades to the game though. The first big change is one we were particularly fond of. This is the Mementos overhaul. For those unfamiliar, Mementos is essentially a side dungeon area that serves a huge purpose in the story throughout the game. You will use this place mostly to complete side quests and for grinding XP. This is arguably the best change in the game, as the overhaul would make Mementos 100% less of a chore to go through, as the original Mementos was particularly known for being really grindy.
We might be getting a little more into this than we intended, but we digress. This game offers a third eye vision that allows you to identify the strength of enemies, and in the original game, the weakest enemies were highlighted blue. Since this is a turn-based game, the fights can take a decent bit of time, even for the weakest of enemies. Now, the weakest enemies will be highlighted green, and green enemies can be automatically defeated by sprinting into them, thusly making the grinding process for Mementos so much less grindy, and easily exploitable for players with slightly above average intelligence. Getting XP can be so easy in this game, and you can become an absolute beast by the end if you play your cards right. The Velvet Room is also expanded upon. For those unfamiliar with that, this is essentially a spot for you to upgrade your personas, which are your magical combat abilities, to put it dumbly.
There is the addition of the fusion alarm, which, in essence, just gives you a chance to fuse personas for a stronger fusion that guarantees you a new ability or two for said persona. This can be seriously exploited to create some insanely powerful personas. Some of the other big changes include a redesign for each palace, plenty of small changes to improve the quality of life in the game, but to top it all off, you will have access to play as a new character whom plays a role in the story and adds an extra palace and story arc on top of the main plot.
That's truly only the surface of the game, as it would prove to be over 150 hours, and upon beating it, you will be heavily inclined to play through again to try out a different romance option, or to unlock more of the many unlockables that can be placed in a new area called the Thieves' Den, which is just a separate area of the game that allows you to collect trophies, achievements, and more throughout the experience. This game truly is one of the best anime-style games I've ever played, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for the Persona franchise. This game did such a great job in the many ways it improved the formula, and the additional content that was added was both impactful and a fun new take on an already beloved story.
Personally, we think this series will only continue to make awesome memories for fans and are royally excited to see what the future holds for Persona 5 Strikers, which released earlier this year.
Number 3. Doom Eternal. Against all the evil that EA can conjure, all the wickedness that 2K can produce, we will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done. Doom is back and better than it's ever been with the latest installment in its legacy, Doom Eternal.
Sometime after the end of the previous game, Earth has been invaded by Hell and is being consumed. Far above, the Doomslayer wages his war against the forces of Hell from the Fortress of Doom.
In the interest of fucking up Hell's shit, the Doomslayer takes up his weapons once more and sets out to break Hell's hold over Earth, save humanity, and destroy the denizens of the Dark Realm. For there is only one dominant life form in this universe, and it carries a steel-barreled sword of vengeance.
Doom Eternal's gameplay is FPS perfection made manifest. Its synchronicity of skill and strategy managed to create a groundbreaking formula for evolving the FPS genre. Seriously, other shooters will have to step their game up from this point on. Sporting an upgraded Praetor suit, Doomslayer will be outfitted with many new pieces of equipment, as well as special abilities this time around, such as the Flame Belch and shoulder-mounted grenade launcher.
Doom Eternal also features a few new mechanics such as the dash, sorely missing from Doom 2016, and the super powerful Blood Punch, which absolutely decimates enemies. The reworked weapons and alt fires feel better than ever, and the kick each weapon possesses makes firing them feel oh so satisfying. Knowing which weapons and abilities to use for each situation becomes more important the further you progress, and putting each and every piece of your arsenal to use will be necessary in mastering the Doom Dance.
Doom Eternal also places a heavy emphasis on exploration and secrets, with large sprawling maps containing plenty of hidden alcoves and secret chambers hiding upgrades, collectibles, and challenges. Another new addition to the mix is the use of platforming elements in both combat and exploration. Adding a light sprinkle of variety to the game, the platforming adds an extra dimension to traversing the levels and arenas, and allows you to test other skills rather than just your combat prowess.
The beautiful blood-stained bow tying this whole package together is definitely Doom Eternal's killer fucking soundtrack. The musical genius and expertise of Mick Gordon is once again on display in this entry in the Doom series, and the music captures perfectly the tone of the universe and of being an unstoppable immortal warrior destroying the armies of hell, of being something even the biggest and baddest of monsters fear.
Just take one look at this carnage and tell me that doesn't look like a bloody good time. Doom Eternal is just so involved, fast-paced, and ferociously satisfying to play. You would be doing yourself a disservice by not playing it.
Even if you're not normally into action games, I'd implore you to give this one a try and see if it can't change your mind. This is the kind of experience that will make you into a believer. You'll be eternally grateful you did, so get ripping and get tearing.
Number 2. Hades. Who doesn't have daddy issues these days? You might think you're trapped in hell where you live, but if you take a step into Zagreus' shoes for one day, you'd realize hell's actually, not that bad, and there's actually some pretty cool people there. It's just badly in need of some renovation. The real issue, though, is good old Daddy Dearest. He doesn't want his son fraternizing with Upworlders like Zeus and the boys, so he's made it incredibly difficult for Zagreus to leave.
In this hack-and-slash roguelike, Death is only an inconvenience to the protagonist, and each time you perish on the battlefield, you return to home base. That being said, you gain experience each time, and you will have ways to upgrade Zagreus and the many different skills he is capable of. New dialogue and story progression take place when you inevitably die. The plot is also awesome, making you almost crave death as to unlock more juicy lore. This game isn't exactly easy either, and will have you grinding your teeth when you make it further than you ever have before just to get murdered horrendously.
Throughout the game, you will encounter many power-ups and weapons to help you make it closer and closer to freedom. Firstly, Zagreus is equipped with Stygius, a massive blade you get to wield with speed and power. A good balanced weapon that has some cool abilities with it. You get a light attack and a special attack that does AoE damage. Combining these moves with Zagreus' abilities to dash and cast projectiles make for a very fun and engaging combat style. You will encounter other weapons with their own abilities and combos like a spear, shield, or a bow to name a few. All of these fun weapons you will unlock over time by playing the game and experiencing the sweet release of death. The dungeons you explore will be full of different rooms, and in each room will be either enemies, a boss, a shop, or something else. No matter what lays ahead, the game stays interesting and keeps you satisfied. The dungeons are randomized so that every run feels a little different.
You're not alone. Earlier we mentioned Zeus and the boys? Well, we mean the Greek gods, of course. Staying true to the mythos, each god has their quirks and skills, and they give Zagreus different powers and abilities respective to the god. They do this in forms of boons. A boon is found usually once per room, though sometimes you will find other things like currency to spend on Charon, the ferryman, whom has plenty of things to sell you like consumables, increased max health, and more. Which leads us back to the main point, that there is something in every room. A reward every few minutes that makes you stronger. This makes the game super engaging compared to others in the genre. Some of the other things you will collect in the game will let you customize the underworld as well.
For an indie title, this game seriously did an amazing job of outshining almost every other game last year. It stands up to these AAA titles with ease.
For each character is impactful, each power makes you feel so different, the music is phenomenal, and the gameplay is addicting. Go and play Hades, it's to die for. Honorable mention montage, go!
Streets of Rage 4. Call of Duty Warzone. KILLBOSS. Deep Rock Galactic.
Phasmophobia. Haven. Rogue Company.
Number 1. Ghost of Tsushima. The edge between honor and morality is a sharp one indeed. Those who walk the path of the samurai know this all too well, and must be willing to make sacrifices and to do the wrong things for the right reasons. In Ghost of Tsushima, you walk this line as Jin Sakai, a dishonored samurai seeking to reclaim his homeland and save his family from the Mongol armies invading the island of Tsushima.
Over the course of his journey, he will be faced with many of the moral complexities that come with being a warrior, and will have to decide at what cost he will have to achieve his goals. The legend of the Ghost begins here.
Ghost of Tsushima is a third-person, open-world RPG with elements of stealth and platforming, as well as a robust hack-and-slash combat system that's so satisfying, you will actually shit yourself. You'll have a spastic colon after this. It's that good. But enough with the anal talk, though. The only thing anal about this game is how insistent it is at being awesome. The combat in Ghost of Tsushima is by far some of the best that's been featured in a game of its caliber, requiring precise timing as well as knowing which stances and combos to use against certain enemies makes for an epic, in-depth challenge which leaves little to be desired and gives a huge sense of accomplishment once you nail its complexities.
Especially in those duels, man. The samurai duels you can encounter in this game are some top-tier boss fights and test your mastery of the combat systems whilst making you feel profoundly badass. I mean, look at the way he clicks his sword up. Damn! You will of course be armed with your katana and wakizashi blades. You will also collect an assortment of other weapons and tools to use in your journey, such as a grappling hook, a bow, kunai knives, and bombs. Wait a second, those don't sound very samurai-like. Well, you guessed it. If you can't be a samurai, what the hell else could you be?
Someone say ninjas? You're talking about ninjas, aren't you? I fucking love ninjas, man! I fucking love ninjas!
I didn't even say the word ninja, but yeah.
Yes, while the game does boast an amazing combat system, its stealth system is equally as satisfying, if a tad bare bones. That being said, it works perfectly well within the confines of the game and gives you options on how you want to approach each encounter. If you're familiar with the stealth in the recent Spider-Man games, it's very similar. Just no webs.
Exploring the massive island of Tsushima is an awe-inspiring experience. Traversing on foot or horseback, you'll have the chance to take in the absolutely stunning scenes and landscapes the developers have created. Each frame is rich with color and life. There's always something to catch your eye, and it feels like you're immersed in a living, breathing land of times long gone. Throughout the map, there are plenty of things to discover. Hidden locations, side quests, landmarks, camps with shops, graves containing swords, hot springs, shrines, and the Test Your Might Bamboo Edition. This isn't even a complete list of all the things you can find in the world, but every experience and encounter you have will make Jin stronger in some way.
The narrative is nothing to scoff at either. Separated into 3 acts with plenty of side quests tying into the main story, the game features a vast variety of tones throughout each one of its stories it has to tell. The story is mainly grounded in reality, but often hints at the supernatural side of our existence, though it never fully confirms or denies anything, adding to the mysticism of the game's universe. Within each of these stories, and throughout the whole game, a vibrant cast of colorful and memorable characters will accompany you, each one unique. Some you'll grow to love, others not so much, though they bring out the best of what this game has to offer, and it wouldn't be the same if any were omitted.
But wait, there's more. As if the package wasn't already awesome enough, on October 16th of 2020, Ghost of Tsushima launched its just as impressive multiplayer mode, for free. It was Boss's birthday gift from Sucker Punch.
Thanks, dudes!
In this generous expansion, the first thing you will notice is the stark contrast in tone from the more grounded main game. Ghost of Tsushima Legends relies heavily on the supernatural elements we mentioned earlier, as if you're playing the legends of old brought to life before your very eyes.
It's clear the developers got to let loose with their imaginations here. While the main game allows you to specialize in multiple areas, Ghost of Tsushima Legends is a class-based affair, with 4 different classes to choose from and level up. None of these legends are as powerful as the Ghost himself, but regardless, they each have their own set of potent skills that can be changed, upgraded, or swapped. This was definitely an unexpected but an abundantly appreciated addition to an already epic adventure.
2020 was full of fantastic games. None of them were quite as great as this one-of-a-kind adventure into the ancient past of an epic and breathtaking culture.
This is one of those games that we feel will be remembered for decades to come, not only as one of the best games on the PlayStation, but an all-time classic across the gaming landscape as a whole. And, unlike your ex-girlfriend, it definitely won't ghost you. For those reasons, and so many more that we just don't have time for, Ghost of Tsushima is our #1 game for 2020. Holy shit. You know that gif of Vince McMahon where he just falls back in his chair like, oh, that's how I feel right now after going through this list of all these fucking incredible games, man. So yeah, those are every single one of our best picks from 2020, at least the top 10 that we could put into a list. It took a lot of hard thinking and decision making and kind of mulling over the choices and chewing down to the bone, but we decided on these ones. Each and every single one of them is worth your time and money and then some, so you don't want to miss a single one of these releases.
If you guys enjoy this kind of content and want to see more stuff like this, make sure you leave a like, we do appreciate that, and subscribe to the channel so that you can catch more content from us, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. Each month we do a top 5 new releases of each month to kind of just show you guys what new games are coming out. So if you guys like that kind of stuff, go check those out. They're on our channel there. Check out all the other links down below there to see the other stuff we do as well. We stream on Twitch Fridays and Saturday nights at around 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we'd love to see some new faces come by and hang out. So if that's interesting you, have at her. We appreciate it.
Well, that wraps up this show for another year. We will be seeing you again in the future with another one like this, as well as more lists and videos. But until next time, guys, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching.
Project dismissed. Hopefully, this won't be next July. Bye.
Peace out. Okay, now that's it.
Done.
Done.
Fucking did it.
Like fucking did.